The two high-profile bear cubs in Mammoth Lakes who lost their mother to a car accident in September have apparently died. Bennett Kessler filed this report. California Department of Fish and Game refused to rescue the bear cubs, saying they were strong enough to survive the winter alone. Mammoth wildlife specialist Steve Searles and Mammoth police officers said the cubs were still suckling from their mother and, in their experience, would not live without rescue. When asked about the cubs, Searles said he has not seen them in the last 14 days and knows their exact home range very well. Said Searles, quote, "There have been no sightings. I believe they are both dead 2 weeks after Fish and Game examined them," end quote. Now, Fish and Game had refused to allow the rescue of the cubs after their mother was killed. Tahoe Bear Rescue was ready to take them. Fish and Game said no. Then Fish and Game wildlife biologist Tim Taylor went to Mammoth with Warden Chad Elliott to assess the cubs. Mammoth Police Chief Dan Watson said they determined the cubs were over 30 pounds and, in their professional opinion, could survive the winter. Fish and Game Code does say that suckling cubs should be rescued. Since local Fish and Game refused to speak to Sierra Wave Media, Sierra Wave Media asked Andrew Hugan of Sacramento Fish and Game why the local men seem to have overlooked the fact that the cubs were still nursing from their mother. Both Searles and police said that they saw the mother's body and that it was clear that the cubs were still suckling. Hugan said that the game warden and his lieutenant, quote, observed the bears and determined that they met all the qualifications of the policy and were left to survive, end quote. Hugan said that Searles is a private citizen with no position in Fish and Game. Searles had estimated the cubs were more like 20 pounds with no skills to feed themselves. Hugan said, quote, "We do not make these decisions lightly. If the wardens thought that the cubs were in danger, they could have taken different actions," end quote. Bennett Kessler filed the following report. Last spring, fire rushed down the Sierra foothills from the Bernasconi Center in Big Pine. Some 20 homes were destroyed by fire, known as the Center Fire. Now, insurance companies and homeowners have filed lawsuits. Attorney Peter Tracy represents Mike Rossi and his wife, Yvette Hannon. They lost everything in the blaze and have filed suit against the Carson Valley Men's Group, a kind of self-help organization of 30 or 40 men that had been on a retreat at the Bernasconi Center. They started a warming fire and thought it was out. Very strong afternoon winds whipped in and sent the flames down the hill. Fast firefighting limited the damage to homes at the bottom of the foothills. Now, according to court records, the lawsuit also names the County Office of Education, which had rented facilities to the men's group. Attorney Tracy said that the Office of Education did require $1 million insurance from the group, which they had. Now, insurance companies that covered and rebuilt other homes in Big Pine are believed to have sued the men's group and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, owners of the land at the Bernasconi Center. Now, Attorney Tracy said no trial has yet been set and more depositions will be conducted in December. He said others may join the lawsuits. Some sources have indicated that CAL FIRE may also sue to recover firefighting costs. Tracy said these matters may end up in mediation in the spring. The community of Big Pine, severely impacted by the fire, galvanized support for the fire victims through local churches, especially the Methodist Church, where hundreds of pieces of clothing, furniture, and appliances became available to those in need. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed the following report. When the Mammoth Lakes Town Council met last Thursday night, none of the private anger, threats of recall, or blistering condemnations about government cuts made it to the public forum. The atmosphere was civil, and for several hours, citizens did stand up to support specific services. Some strongly stood up for new taxes to help pay off the big $29.5 million debt. Others said that whatever happens, the townspeople have to pull together. Now, privately, more than a few citizens have nearly foamed at the mouth over the proposed cuts of 7 police officers, Whitmore Pool, and other jobs. Officials have made it clear that something has to go to come up with the $2 million annual payments to Mammoth Lakes land acquisition. Mammoth Assistant Town Manager Mariana Marashiva Martinez literally let her usually severe hairstyle down around her shoulders, and the tone of the public talk was relaxed also. Martinez told the crowded room that the Mammoth Lakes Town Council could not currently balance the budget on taxes that have not been voted on, nor on tax measure money earlier committed to other things. Now, Martinez did spell out the possibility of an admission tax on lift tickets and other event tickets, an increased utility tax and sales tax, plus an additional parcel tax. All of that could raise as much as $5 million per year. Now, on top of that, another option is to allow more single-family homes to do transient rentals for more taxes for the town. Martinez also made it clear that the town is down to the limit and needs to build strong reserves. She said that cuts have to happen as soon as possible and that new taxes would take time to collect. Now, people lined up against the wall of the council chambers and one after another gave a view of the tough situation. Sean Turner, business owner and recreation commissioner, supported cuts and borrowing from tax measures. Former Councilman Kirk Stapp said it is his personal belief that Mammoth Mountain is partially responsible for the lawsuit judgment, and so a lift ticket tax is appropriate. If not a new tax, Stapp said, shift current tax measure money. He said, quote, without taxes, services will be drastically reduced. Now, others spoke against more single-family homes renting out to tourists. Still others supported funding Mammoth Lakes housing to maintain what amounts to a multi-million-dollar asset in the town's infrastructure, low-income apartments and homes. Now, Mono County Supervisor Larry Johnston, who is the vice chairman of Mammoth Lakes Housing, called the organization an economic machine that has generated $68 million in the community. Asked by Mammoth Councilman Rick Wood if Mono County would help the town keep Whitmore Pool open, Johnston said that the county already spends $120,000 on Whitmore and has agreed to pay $65,000 more to help the town keep the animal shelter. He did say if the town would make a formal request for help, the supervisors would be happy to consider it. But Johnston made it clear that the Mono County government is, quote, not much above water, end quote. Then Flossie Coulter, longtime resident and co-founder of the Mammoth Jazz Jubilee, she laid out the evening's game changer. She said, pass tax measures and get out of the problem a lot sooner. Coulter said, quote, you can put the blame wherever you want on this lawsuit, but we're all in this together, end quote. Now, to recent talk that the town of Mammoth Lakes should get rid of one or both of its expensive managers, Dave Wilbrecht and Mariana Marashiva Martinez, who cost more than $500,000 combined. Matthew Lehman, the Mammoth mayor, stood up for them. He said that they work all hours of the night on issues that are far more complex than people think. Now the issue moves on to a November 7th council meeting for deliberations over cuts and plans. The public will be invited to comment and question then too. Final decisions are set for December 5th, and you can see more on this story and reader comments by checking out our website, sierrawave.net.